Welcome back to the discussion Solving the Cyber Puzzle from Trust to Talent, sponsored by Leidos on Federal News Radio 1500 AM and federalnewsradio.com. My guest today is Arlette Hart, Senior Cybersecurity Technologist at Leidos. I'm your moderator, John Gilroy. You know, with the developments of large networks and cloud computing and IoT devices, everyone's saying, well, the solution, Arlette, is just automating. We'll just have automation, it'll solve all your problems. And there's good news and bad news with that statement, isn't there?
Oh, yes, definitely. It's like, well, for one, you can't solve your problems without automation. I mean, I will agree. And we're really pushing, at Leidos, we're really pushing hard on the automation question, just because there is no way to address machine speed attacks without machine capabilities. So AI and machine learning, those are critical components to any cybersecurity discipline. That said, because they are increasing, we have also the volume of data is increasing dramatically. When you take Internet of Things, and all that means is every Internet of Things device sends data to a central controller, sends data to an aggregation point. And every device that you hold in your hand does somewhat the same one way or another. And so, and as we get more and more things that are talking to each other, the volume of data is going through the roof exponentially. It's not a linear increase. This is just exponential increase. And as that data keeps aggregating, the attack surface itself is much bigger. So you end up with the automation is just helping us stay where we are. So, and it's like, it's doing the blocking and tackling of the low hanging fruit and things like that. But there's so much need for the primary need for automation is so people don't have boring jobs. It's like, do with machines what machines are good at doing, and let people do things that people are good at doing. So we end up with like the hard skills, the hard analysis, and we can take care of the blocking and tackling with automation. And that's a big piece of that. And we're really driving that at Leidos.
Now, increasingly, I see people talking about software-defined networks and patching easier and having rules applied easier. Is that part of automation, would you say?
It's another side of automation. A lot of times people think in the same way that you think one thing when you think IoT, you think one thing when you think automation. The one that comes immediately to my mind, obviously, is orchestration, which is a SOC capability. But software-defined networks certainly change the automation picture and should enable a much better granularity at your software level and be able to, and especially if you tie it with some automated identity management capabilities, you can tie your risk much more closely to the data that's associated with that network. So you don't have quite so much flat networking and things like that. It really helps and helps eliminate a lot of the random attacks that can happen that just expose things that shouldn't be exposed. So if you have a nice tight software-defined network approach, you can segment your networks so that people aren't just on one side or the other side of the network. So the software-defined aspect helps for one thing. You don't have to physically plug things into devices all the time. So you can leverage your overall infrastructure of your network and overlay some software-defined components onto it. So yeah, it's a lot better than what your hardwired network is. That said, you still need the hardwired network. You still need the people who are doing the hardwired network. You still have to secure your infrastructure at the hard and the soft level. So it doesn't eliminate, it facilitates, and it changes some of the optic on security.
We're going to go from hardwired networks to kind of a hard question. So if I walked up to my students and said, well, you should send your resume off to Leidos for a cybersecurity position, they may respond and say, well, John, a lot of these companies, they kind of pigeonhole you in one area, and they don't let me grow, and they don't let me do any kind of decision-making advanced work. And so I'll ask you right now. I mean, career advancement and going from tactics to decision-making and analysis, easy progress at your organization?
It's a career path. That is the career path as we go through. When you start off, you do the tactical aspects of the world, so you become familiar with what it is that the discipline is about. You learn how to do the analysis. You learn how to do forensics. You learn how to do insider threat. You learn those kind of pieces. But then as you become facile at them, as you learn how to do them better, you grow into the place where your next step is clearly to make the decisions related to it and to help the next generation come through. And then as you grow into that one, you grow across the different kinds of disciplines so you can manage multiple disciplines in the cybersecurity arena. And there are many, many disciplines in the cybersecurity arena. There's insider threat, there's external threat, there's forensics, there's obviously the engineering component that makes this all happen, without which, by the way, engineering is core to cybersecurity. I think most of the people that I know who are in cybersecurity with any years around came from like electrical engineering or computer science. They did not learn in cybersecurity. But there's a whole path up through cybersecurity. If you want to do management, you can do that. The other thing that Leidos has is a subject matter expert track that allows you to stay heads down in subject matter expert if that's the way you want to go. And some people really do want to do that. And you can just get your expertise and you can go up to essentially a vice president level within the company at just subject matter level and never have to do the, okay, and then I'm managing 700 people kind of thing. So both tracks are viable. And I think they're really, it's one of the more attractive things about Leidos is that it really looks at the people and says, this is an expertise that we can foster and we can really help people grow within that expertise and across the entire discipline.
It sounds like that if someone's looking at your company, they can almost pick and choose what area they want to specialize in. And because you're so large, they can pick and choose within encryption, identity authentication, network design, software-defined patching systems. It gives much more flexibility for someone looking at your company.
Absolutely. The other piece that's important is we drag from we bring people into our internal defense as well as out to the programs. So we protect inside and we rotate back and forth between contracts and the internal defense piece of it. So we get the benefit across Leidos of both of those aspects of cybersecurity.
Great. I'd like to thank today's guest, Arlette Hart, Senior Cybersecurity Technologist at Leidos. I'm John Gilroy on Federal News Radio 1500 AM. For more on this discussion, visit federalnewsradio.com and search Cyber Workforce.